router level middleware. Router level middleware works in the same way as application level middleware, except it is bound to an instance of Express that is going to be router with parentheses. We type a cons router is assigned express data router with parentheses. And I want to show you something, so we're going to go to Visual Studio Code, and we have our server.js file that we used in the previous video, so we can copy or type in the cons router as assigned to express.router.com. But I want to show you something. If we try to build a backend, for example, we would have a folder and we would name it, okay, let's say backend, like this. And inside of this folder we will move in this file name server.js. So inside of this folder backend we will have the server.js. And now inside of from the root, not in the folder backend but in the root, we have here our incorporated terminal. So this folder name is API, so I am an API. I am not inside of the backend, so I am inside of the API. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna install, make sure that you have Node.js installed, and if you don't have it, if you have it, you can just check like node space --version to see what version do you have. Okay, I have the version 19.1.0. If you don't have it, just go to the Node.js website and download the latest version. And also make sure that we have the npm. So let me see, what version do I have? So npm space --version, and I have the version 8.19.3. so we're gonna be using the npm package manager for this project. So what we're gonna do right now is I'm gonna type in npm init and then space and -y, so we don't have to answer any questions. And we're gonna press enter, and this is gonna create a package.json for us. So as you can see, we have a package.json, and this package.json is not in the folder backend, it's in the root. And as you can see, we have the name, version, description. Main is gonna be our index.js. This is gonna be our okay. We have the script, in this case test. We have the key, the author, and the license. So we're gonna clean that out. And what else do we have here? So now, since we have npm, we're gonna do npm install, and we're gonna install Express like that. And this is gonna appear in our dependency. We're gonna press enter, and from the package.json, as you can see, we have dependencies and we have Express, and it's gonna be 4.18.2 like that. So we have Express, and now what we are gonna do is, let me see, in order to start, we will do npm. So it's gonna be npm run and then the name of our script. So in this case it'll be test. Okay, so but I'm gonna change that. Instead of this name, it's gonna be test, but it's gonna be node, and then the name of our folder, that is gonna be the backend, is slash, and then our file, that is gonna be server.js, like this. So in order to run it, we will type in npm run, and then test. But first we have to have something in our server.js. Okay, so we're gonna call in Express. So cons express =, we're gonna require it, and it's gonna be like this, Express. Okay, so we are also gonna have a port. So let me see. Okay, like that. And then we're gonna have const port, and we're gonna set it to, I don't know, port 3000. So up to this point we have Express, we have the port 3000, and now we're gonna declare a variable or a constant named app, and we're gonna set it to express. So it's gonna be like this: express with parentheses. Okay, so now we initialize it, or we set it this constant app to express. So now we can use it. So it's gonna be app that, and we're gonna listen. So this is a method here, and it's gonna have parameters. So we're gonna have the port. The port is gonna be 3000, and the second parameter is gonna be the function. We're gonna be using an arrow function. So to the right of the arrow, we're just gonna have a console.log for now. Console.log. We're gonna open parentheses, and inside of the parentheses, we're gonna have backticks, and it's gonna say server running on port 3000. Let's say on port. Okay, we're gonna be using the $. We open curly braces, and now we're gonna type in the name of our port. So just port like this. So now we're gonna type in the npm run. Inside of the incorporated terminal is gonna be npm run, and then the name of our script. In this case, the name of our script is test. So let's press enter. Let's see what happens. And as you can see, server running on port 3000. Let me go here in our server, and you can just, I don't know, just make it shorter. I don't know, maybe running on port 3000. We can change it to 5000. And every time you change something, we'll have to press Ctrl+C. Okay, again, clean it up, and doing it again, npm run, and then the name of the script, in this case test. So let me see if I save it. Okay, so this time it should say running on port. In this case, it's gonna be, let's put it like this, it's gonna be 5500. So press enter, and running on port 5500. So this is a basic example, but this is how we would do it. This is how the beginning for our backend application. So now let's move on to the router level middleware, and let's close this one here. So now we will have the constant router express a route. So let's just, okay, so we're gonna have here const, and we're gonna be typing router. So router, and then we're gonna have route. It's gonna be like this. Express that router. It's gonna be express that router with capital R, and then with parentheses. Okay, so we have that. Now load router level middleware by using the router.use and router.method functions. The following example code replicates the middleware system that is shown above for application level middleware by using router level middleware. So they're giving us this example here. Okay, so we have the constant. We can save, we can close that. So we have the cons express require express, we have the cons router, okay, and we express that router. So let's type in cons app. So it's gonna be cons app, and now we're gonna set it, or yeah, we're gonna set it to express, and we have to put parentheses. So this is how we would do it up to this point. And now we have a middleware function with no mount path. This code is executed for every request to the router. Okay, so we have the router.use. Okay, we're gonna have router.use. Okay, we're gonna open parentheses, and we are gonna have an arrow function here. So we're gonna have a parenthesis and we're gonna have the arrow function. To the right of the arrow function, we're gonna have a set of curly braces, and to the left is gonna be a set of parentheses. And instead of the parentheses, we're gonna have the request, the response, and next. Okay, so and the curly braces, we're gonna have a cancel.log, so it's gonna be cancel.log, and we're gonna have two parameters inside of this parentheses. It's gonna be the time. Okay, it's gonna be the string time. So it's gonna be like this: single quotes, time, colon. Outside of the single quotes, we're gonna have a comma, so it's gonna separate, and we're gonna have this function date.now, so it's gonna be date.now with parentheses. Okay, outside of that, to line 7, we're just gonna be calling next with parentheses. So that is that. Now we're gonna have a middleware substack shows request info for any type of HTTP request to the /user/calling ID path. So what else do we have here? We're gonna go down, we can close this, and now we're gonna have router.use again. We're gonna have router.use. In this case, we're gonna have two parameters. Okay, so we're gonna open up parentheses. Okay, so we're gonna have single quotes, a comma, we're gonna have parentheses, and to the right we're gonna have the arrow function, curly braces. Okay, so inside of the single quotes, we're gonna have the user, okay, /user/calling ID like this. Inside of the parentheses, we're gonna have the request, response, and then next. Okay, so this is request like this, and inside of the curly braces, we are gonna have, okay, we're gonna have request URL and then request that you are original URL. So we're gonna cancel that log. We're gonna have single quotes. It's gonna be request URL colon, and then request that original URL, as you can see it. Okay, so we're gonna have the cancel.log, request type, or request URL, and request original URL. Okay, outside of the cancel.log, to the next line, we're gonna be calling next with parentheses like that. Okay, so and the next example would be, okay, so we're gonna be calling next. So now, just after this final curly brace, we're gonna put in a comma. Okay, and we're gonna have an arrow function. Okay, so we're gonna put parentheses, we're gonna have an arrow function, and we're gonna open curly braces. So we're gonna have the request, the response, and next inside of the parentheses. So it's gonna be request, response, and next inside of the parentheses. And inside of the curly braces, what we are gonna have is gonna be the cancel.log. So it's gonna be cancel.log, open, okay, inside, okay, here, okay, it's gonna be cancel.log. Inside of that, we're gonna have two parameters separated by a comma. So in this parameter, we're gonna have request type like this, request type like this, and then we're gonna have request that method, so like this. So this is what we do. Finally, outside of to the next line, line 15, we will call in next with parentheses at the end. Okay, so that will be it. And let me see. Okay, now we're gonna have a middleware substack that handles GET requests to the /user/calling ID path. And we're gonna see this right now. We're seeing the theory, but eventually in future videos we're gonna be using this HTTP methods: get, post, update, delete, and CRUD functionality, in a backend application. But for now, just we are seeing a general overview how this works, how all this fits. So we are gonna go below that and we're gonna type in router.get. Okay, so it's gonna be router.get, and now we're gonna have this parentheses. We're gonna have single quotes as a first parameter. We're gonna have a parentheses as an arrow function as the second parameter, like this. So to the left of the arrow we will have the parentheses, and to the right of the arrow we will have the curly braces. So in this case, inside of the single quotes we will have the user slash calling ID. Inside of the parentheses we will have the request, the response, and the next. And inside of the curly braces we will have the console.log, and inside of the parentheses we will have two parameters. And the first parameter in this case, okay, no, in this case we don't have that. We have the if else statement, so we would just delete the console.log. Okay, so if the user ID is 0, skip to the next router. So we're gonna have if open parentheses, okay, if request.params.id is equal to 0, then next, and we're gonna pass in the route. So we're gonna have if request.params.id is equal to 0 inside of single quotes, and as you can see we're using triple equal sign. So the request.params.id is equal to 0. We're gonna type outside of that, it's gonna be next. Inside of the parentheses we're gonna pass in the route, and as you can see that. So we're gonna have the route. Otherwise, pass control to the next middleware function in this stack, so else next. So if not that, else next, like that, and then we put it parentheses at the end. Okay, so just after the final curly brace we're gonna have a comma, and we're gonna have an arrow function. To the left of the arrow we will have a parenthesis, and to the right a curly braces. So we will have, again, to the left we will have the request, the response, and next, and to the right we will have the curly brace. Okay, and now we're gonna be render a regular page. So we're gonna be sending res.send, and we're gonna be sending inside single quotes, and it's gonna be saying regular, like this. So that is how we would do it. Now we're gonna move into the handler for the slash user slash calling ID path, which renders a special page. So now again we are gonna have the router that get, we're gonna open parentheses. Okay, we're gonna have two parameters. We're gonna have the single quotes, and we're gonna have the arrow function, like this. The arrow function, and then curly braces here. Okay, inside the single quotes we will have user, slash user slash calling ID, like this. And then inside of the parentheses we will have request, response, and then next. Inside of the curly braces, let's see what we have here. We're gonna have the console.log, and then res.render. So we are gonna have the console.log, and we're gonna be console.log the request.params.id. Okay, request.params.id, and then we're gonna res.render special outside of that. So res.render open parentheses inside single quotes, and it's gonna be special, like this. Okay, outside of that, outside of the not after the curly brace but after the parentheses. So at the end we're gonna mount the router on the app, so it's gonna be app.use. We're gonna be app.use and we're gonna mount it. So curly brace, single quotes, and now we're gonna type in router. Okay, router, and inside of the single quotes is gonna be the root nominated by this slash. So this is how we would do it. Now, to skip the rest of the router's middleware functions, call next router to pass control back out of the router instance. This example shows a middleware substack that handles GET requests to the /user/calling ID path. And this time I'm just gonna, let me see, we can just check it out. So we have express, so cons express, we are assigning express. We have this constant name app and we are setting it to express. We have the router, and okay, we have express.router. Now we're gonna have predicate the router with a check and bail out when needed. So we're gonna have router.use. We're gonna have parentheses. Inside of the parentheses we're gonna have the arrow function. Inside of the arrow function, inside of the parentheses of the left of the arrow function, we will have the request, the response in next. To the right in the curly braces we will have the if statement. So we're gonna have if inside of the parentheses, if not the request that headers, open brackets, inside single quotes, x-auth authentication, close brackets, close parentheses, return next, and we're gonna pass in the router, and then we're gonna be calling the next function. So we close the curly braces and we close the parentheses, and that will be it for the router.use. And now we're gonna have the router.get, and again we're gonna have two parameters. We're gonna have this string that is gonna be inside single quotes /user/calling ID and an arrow function. Inside of the parentheses we're gonna have the request response. We don't have next in this case. And to the right of the arrow we're gonna have the rest.send, and we're gonna be just sending a string saying hello, user with exclamation mark. Now we're gonna have use the router and /1 anything falling through. So we're gonna have app.use, open parentheses, inside single quotes /admin, router, and then the request response. And to the right of the arrow function we would send rest.send status for 1, like that. So there will be that example. Now we have the error handling middleware. Error handling middleware always takes 4 arguments. You must provide 4 arguments to identify it as an error handling middleware function. Even if you don't need to use the next object, you must specify it to maintain the signature. Otherwise, the next object will be interpreted as regular middleware and will fail to handle errors. So here we have define error handling middleware functions in the same way as other middleware functions, except with 4 arguments instead of 3. Specifically with the signatures, we will have error, request, response, and next. So let me see, we can just delete pretty much everything and let's just type it. So we will have the okay, so let me check out here. We are gonna have here, okay, so we're gonna have app.use, gonna be like this. So since we have this constant app, so it's gonna be app.use, open parentheses, and this time inside of the parentheses we're gonna have this arrow function. So it's gonna be parentheses, arrow function, and then curly braces. But now this parentheses to the left is gonna be taking 4 arguments. So as you can see, 4 arguments instead of 3. That is going to be the error. So it's going to be the error, it's going to be the request, the response, and now next. And now inside of the curly braces we will have the cancel.log. We're going to open parentheses and we're going to have error.stack like this. and then we're gonna send res that status like that, status, and it's gonna be 500 like that, and then we're gonna have that send, and we're gonna parentheses, okay, something broke like this, and this is how we would do it. So you have the app.use, we have the 4 arguments here, you have the console.log, error.stack, and then we will have the res.status 500, that send something broke like that. And you can check out these links for details about the error handling middleware. You can check out this link. Now you have a built-in middleware. Starting with version 4.x, Express no longer depends on Connect. The middleware functions that were previously included with Express are now in separate modules. See the list of middleware functions. Express has the following built-in middleware functions. You have the express.static, serves static assets such as HTML files, images, and so on. Express.json parses incoming requests with JSON payloads. Note, available with Express 4.16.0. And if we go to our Visual Studio Code and we go to our package.json, we have the Express. When we install it, we install the version for 4.18.2. So that is that. And finally, we have third-party middleware. Use third-party middleware to add functionality to Express apps. Install the Node.js module for the required functionality, then load it in your app at the application level or at the router level. The following example illustrates installing and loading the cookie parsing middleware function cookie-parser. So what you would do is you would type in npm install cookie-parser and make sure that you have Node.js installed on your computer, and then you will call in Express const express =, require Express. We will have the const app and set it to Express, and then we will call in const cookie parser with camel notation =, require open parentheses. Then we will have inside the single quotes the cookie parser, and then load the cookie parsing middleware. That would be app.use, and inside of the parentheses we will have this function cookie parser. Okay, and for a partial list of third-party middleware functions that are commonly used in Express, you can check out this link.